Greetings, my name is Belontle Mkwanazi and I have been enrolled in the coding and robotics course in UJ. So before starting the course, I was thinking that it's gonna be complicated. I thought, yeah, it's gonna be really complicated, that I'm not gonna be able to grasp like some things, because of the name coding and robotics. But as I started the course, I then discovered that it's not as hard as I thought it would be. I remember the first day, if not the second day, they introduced us to unplugged coding, which is coding not using a computer. So what they said, what I got from there, what I understood is that unplugged coding is like giving instructions, which is something that we do more often. It's like giving instructions to someone, like to do the things that you want them to do. For example, let's say you're in a game, and then maybe like it's a pair game, and then your partner is blindfolded. You're gonna have to give them instructions on how to move from point A to point B. So that is known as unplugged coding. And from that, I understood that coding is more like giving instructions to your robot or your sprite. So understanding that made me to be at ease and not like panic a lot. So it made me like to open up on learning more. And also I learned about computational thinking. That computational thinking includes debugging, decomposition, collaboration, critical thinking. So with that, I discovered that also those are the skills that we apply in our daily lives. So it brought the notion or the understanding that computational thinking is not only like a concept that can only be applied in coding and robotics, but can also be applied in other subjects as well. For example, if ever I give learners a certain task, and then they discover that the task is like very complicated, and so they will need to infuse that concept. Maybe they can decompose or debug and see where the problem started with their projects and stuff. So we applied this. I remember when we were doing our robot, we were able to construct and do everything like the whole model. But then when it came to coding, was the most challenging part, because I remember we did our code and everything, and the robot could move from point A to point B, but from point B to point C, where now it had to like move from grabbing the stuff and then like go and pack it in the ship. Like that was the most challenging part, because it got stuck, it didn't follow the black line. So that resulted in us having to break down our code, which is decomposition. We then broke down our code, and then we started to see, okay, where did the problem start, and where the problem started, that is when we started to fix our code. So those are like one or two of the things that I've learned from this whole program. And another thing that I learned from the program was the importance of collaboration. I learned that in order to overcome some challenges, we have to really collaborate. And yeah, I had luck to have group members that are really open to collaborating and really open to listen to each other's ideas. So that made our work to be more easier to do. And also I also learned that these concepts that we learned here in coding and robotics, they can also be applied in other subjects. And also like that coding and robotics is not like something that can only be taught in a coding and robotics subject, but you can also like apply it in other subjects as well. For example, as I mentioned in the beginning about unplugged coding, so you can like teach learners the basics of coding and robotics by bringing in the concept of unplugged coding, and also guiding them through about that in like different subject areas. It can be English, where they have to play a game, or giving instructions to them guiding them on what to do. And also with that, I discovered that if ever I want to, like, my robot to do something, then I have to give clear instructions, meaning I have to give like clear and concise codes so that it do what I want it to do. And also, since we have been exploring Scratch, right, so I discovered some of like the exciting things. I didn't know I could discover these things, but then I discovered that since you, like, when you log into Scratch, and then let's say for example you want to make your backdrop to move, right, as your sprite moves, you want your backdrop to move as well. But then I discovered that, okay, they don't have that option when you switch to backdrops, and then you go to the coding blocks. So I discovered that you can actually create or draw a sprite. So whatever sprite that you draw, let's say for example you want it to be a background, so your drawing should be like a background, whatever background that you desire. And then with that, so a sprite has many code blocks. It has many options. You can code it the way you want, unlike the code blocks of the backdrop. So that is what I discovered, that if ever you want to make your backdrop to move, you have to make your backdrop to be a sprite. So yeah, that's what I learned. And also the challenges that I encountered in this course was the fact that I still don't know this. Our robot had to follow a line, right? So our sensor was working, but I guess our code was not as good as it should have been. So our robot, we ended up not having our robot to move to follow the black line in order for it to get from point A to point B, but it was just moving randomly. It didn't follow the black line. So yeah, those are the challenges that we faced. But with that, I learned that coding also takes time. The more you stick around, the more you're gonna understand some of the stuff. And also my experiences and the hands-on construction of the robot was that when you are creating your robot, you have to make sure that you know what is the intention of your robot. What are you creating it for? What purpose should it achieve? And with that, you then create it so that it can be able to do what you want it to do. So and also what I learned is that it is important to follow like step by step. So with me and my group members, we used there was a YouTube video that showed a step-by-step on how to construct our robot. So following a step-by-step guide really helps, because at first we didn't follow a step-by-step guide and our robot was just a mess. So yeah, those are the things that I learned with the coding and robotics. And also I am looking forward to learn more, especially like exploring the websites or the resources that they provided us with, such as Octo Studio and Scratch. I am looking forward to exploring that so that I can be able to use them in one of my lessons, or in all of my lessons basically, in my teaching career. So yeah, thank you.